Good afternoon, everyone. It's Karl Jakowski from Kentico. Once again, delivering partners webinar. Today's topic is full client cache in Kentico CMS and cache in general. Before we move forward, I just want to ask you if there are any problems with hearing me, or if there are any problems with presentation. You can see slides moving. Please let me know. We just received a new hardware and we are kind of testing it out, so if there are any problems, please let me know over the chat window at the bottom of your control panel. Of course, if you have any questions during the webinar, you're welcome to submit those questions through the question box as well. At the end, we will have time to answer your questions. So let's take a look on agenda. So today we're not going to, because if we would talk about the caching, we could probably spend hours and hours talking about those things. I would like to cover general response caching in general, especially what is covered in Kentico CMS. I would like to devote specifically attention to full client cache in Kentico 5.5 R2, so the current version. I would like to present you with a kind of concept of custom expiration mechanism. For some of you, it might be something that you already have got in place, but one way or another, it's a very interesting approach, which definitely enrich the user experience with your application, website application. And then I would like to show you what's new in Kentico CMS 6.0. Those of you who didn't have a chance to get this touch of the Kentico 6.0 CTP release yet, might be interesting to see how it actually looks like in 6.0. And then at the end, I just added some extra topic. It's a full page cache dependencies web part, the web part that was developed in cooperation with our Netherlands solution partner DNA Services and their CDO Wietse Hogaard. And the web part, as you'll see, is very simple, but extend the full page functionality that is in Kentico. So seems like everything is working fine, because no complaints were submitted. So let's go ahead. First thing, what you can see over here. So when I get my computer switch slide, yeah. The first schema is very simple schema displaying the way how the response goes from the web server to the web browser, but the schema is actually showing how the request is coming from the web browser to the web servers, but vice versa is the way of the response. As you may probably know, on the web server side, there are several levels you can take advantage of caching. There is kernel mode caching on the level of HTTP sys driver. Then there is IIS output cache, which, as I understand, is a new feature coming with IIS 7. And then there is standard ASP.NET output cache, which you probably use if you are using caching in Kentico CMS. So the response on its journey from the web server goes also to another level of caching through the either internet service provider proxy servers or local proxy servers. and then finally reach the client machine, the web browser and the web browser cache. Of course, we're going to cover the web browser part in the webinar. However, I feel I experienced a huge difference in performance playing around with the kernel mode and user mode caching. So I would like to cover those two in next slide very quickly. I don't know how familiar you are with those two levels of caching, but for me it was I'd say a lifesaver with the client that has a huge website with a lot of traffic, more or less with the static content, which was facing huge problems with the performance. There was huge load on network latency. Overall, the website basically couldn't handle the load they got. So we've been investigating on the possibilities, and one of them that came handy was IIS-7 output cache. There are two modes, kernel mode and user mode. The kernel mode is caching on the HTTP sys driver level, which basically allows you to serve the request from kernel mode, so you save the time while it takes HTTP.sys to decide to enqueue your request in the queue, notify the worker process that there is some request that is waiting for processing. So you are saving the time that is required for switching the context from the kernel to the user mode. There are of course some limitations. The kernel mode is able to cache only URLs that doesn't contain the query string, because it does only very simple decision management on what content should be returned. It doesn't serve URLs that are connected to the default document for particular website, for the particular domain. It doesn't apply caching for resources that use dynamic compression for the response. There are limitations on the size, maximum size of the response that can be cached in the kernel mode. And of course, if the cache is full, no other content is going to be cached. But besides all those, as long as you can cache at least the dynamic content that has a static URL that doesn't change with the query parameters, it's a great way how to cache the content. The other part of the this IIS-7 output cache is the user mode, and the user mode basically supports all those requests, caching of all those requests that kernel mode didn't. I can show you very quickly in the IIS where you can find it, so you can play around with it. If you select some site, it doesn't matter it's virtual directory or if you have the website as a new website without that virtual directories, whenever you select the website, you can see the output caching. Under the IIS section. In there is some general settings for this feature, which allows you to enable either cache or, in addition to that, also to enable the kernel cache. If you go ahead and you enable those, you can override the maximum cached response size, which is by default to 256 kilobytes. You can override it if you need. So once you enable this feature, you just go ahead and hit the add. You specify the extensions for the files you want to cache. So in my case, I would go with .aspx. I can decide what mode I want to enable. If I want, I can enable both at the same time. And as you can see, while the kernel mode only allows you to specify some very basic dependencies that should influence the content cached. With the user mode caching, you can also go hit advanced and basically specify the vary by header for the responses. So it will differentiate whether the request will be served from the cache based on the query string parameters or even the headers. So just to just additional information, I have done some testing, very simple testing using IIS6 resource kit. Those of you that are not familiar with it, it's basically a bunch of tools that works even with IIS7. So I included a link where you can download it. I was using the WCAT controller and client to simulate several client architecture, and I've been hitting default ASPX page of my Kentico 5.5 R2 instance, and here are the results. Without IIS7 output caching enabled, I've got some 7,000 plus requests in 30 seconds served, while with the IIS7 output caching enabled, I've got 20,000 plus. So you can sense the difference. That in case that your web is static enough and you serve a lot of requests that are more or less same for all the visitors, I'm pretty sure that the IIS7 output caching might be something interesting for you. Okay, so that was just on a side, and right now we are getting to the caching options in general. So this is, I'm pretty sure that all of you are familiar with this standard response header, where you can see those headers that we are interested in the most, and those that we add in Kentico CMS to the responses based on the caching settings. So the cache control header, expires header, accept ranges header, etag header, and last modified header. So the validation, conditional validation headers, or headers used for conditional validation. For the cache control header, very quickly you can see in Kentico CMS, you can see we either use the public or private. The public identifying the response that might be cached by both proxies and client browsers. We usually include that for non-sensitive data if there are if there is no authentication required. The private indicates that the shared cache or the proxy cache shouldn't include the content, or shouldn't cache the content. Then you can basically see in the cache control some other headers like no cache or no store. The no cache basically indicates that the cache before submitting the response from cache should revalidate freshness of the information in the cache with the origin server first. No store. Well, if you go for the no cache, or if you restrict or deny the caching of the content, if you do not specify no store in the header, you may end up data that are marked with no cache still being stored in the cache, despite the fact that you use the no cache directive there. That's what I have experienced with one client, and that's the reason why you have option to specify the no store directive in the header. Then you can see the max age or master validate headers in the cache control. The max age, the HTTP 1.1 version of expires header. The max age allows you to specify like the expiration time for the item relative to the current client time, because with the expires you may or may not heard that it might be a problem with expires header, that as long as it states the exact time, if the time on the server and on the client are out of sync, you may encounter some problems with caching when especially if you use very short caching times, content of the client side might be already invalidate when you receive the response with expires specified, if there is a problem with synchronization of the time between the client and the server. And the must revalidate basically enforce revalidation before viewing the content from the cache after the expiration period finished. So another problem that I've got, and that might be something that you want to remember, is that with one client we've got a problem that due to the specific settings of their caching, it was allowed to serve the stale response if there was some problem with the connection. So whenever connection get down, the master validate header wasn't present in the cache control. The cache served the old version of the content, and the client that some problem with Kentico caching. However, as soon as we specify the master validate included in the cache control header, master validate, the response from the cache was either explicitly displaying that we are viewing the old content, or it simply displayed the error complaining about the connection not available. So that's the reason why you will see master validate in Kentico CMS included in the cache control. Yeah, if you include the var header in the HTTP header, response header, the cache basically must verify validity unless those two match. If there is no expires or last modify header, that's basically the same as you would say that it must revalidate and let the cache expire. So with every next request, client browser cache would make a validation request to the origin server. If there are no validation elements included in header, like no e-tag or no last modified, then there is no information that could be used to invoke revalidation, and basically that means that if there is no expiration neither, the content won't be cached even if it's marked as cacheable. Why I mention it in here is that when we get to the full client cache, how it works in Kentico 5.5 R2, that's basically the reason why some things doesn't work, and why you will be most likely going for the custom expiration mechanism if you are thinking about more advanced ways how to cache the content. So let's take a look on first sample. I have prepared several logs that I've taken using the Fiddler. You can download the Fiddler from the following link. I found it a great tool because even though you can use the Firebug tool in the Firefox, when dealing with the caching stuff, it's always useful to have like a full feature tool that can give you much more information than Firebug does. So let me bring the first log. So the first log is basically from version 5.5 R2, where there was no full client cache enabled in Kentico CMS. So basically, there were no CMS full client cache key in the web config. So this key that is here right now wasn't there. That's the way how you enable full client cache in Kentico 5.5 R2. That's another difference with Kentico 6.0, as you will see. It's no more needed to do that through the web config. So if I open this log, you will see I have made requests to the default page several times. You can see that on the first time when the browser cache was empty, there were like 25 requests made to the web servers getting different kind of content. Most of those requests were eliminated in the next subsequent load because most of them were related to the default or to the physical files coming from AppTeams and ASP.NET. Basically mark those as cacheable by default and included last modify and etag values. So browser was able to use the even though there is no expiration date, was able to use the heuristic functions to evaluate probable expiration time and using that information cache the content. But the important thing is that if you take a look on the subsequent loads, you can still see style sheets or meta file or standard files, attachments to be loading as well. So that's logical because we're not using the full cache. So let's take a look on the log where I enabled the log where I enabled the full client cache. As you will see, the result is basically the same. Those files were not cached, and the reason for that was that there was no expires or max age headers included edit. There is no etag or last modify headers edit. So browser basically cannot cache this content, and that's why it's requesting the content over and over again, even though it should be cached. Okay, so that's the situation we've got here, and now we are looking for the solution. If I get back over here, sorry. There is also another problem with 5.5 R2, and this problem is like this. Let's assume we have a web server which receives some request for some file. The web server's response with the file with HTTP 200, so everything goes fine so far. There are some proxy cache or client cache which cache the response. Good. We're going. We move forward, so there is some expiration period which pass at some certain point. System got e-tag or last modified, so it can perform the conditional check with the server. Server responds with 3 or 4 node modified, and the content stays in the cache and is used for upcoming requests because it's still valid. But for in this situation, client browser is making those conditional checks to the web server. That means that even though there are no data sent, you got still that load on the server. You are still consuming the network latency and other resources because you are sending requests to the server. You need to establish connection. You need to make that round trip. If you're not dealing with the enterprise websites, or if you are not concerned about that kind of performance, you might say it's not a problem. But as soon as you really trying to save every single bit of transmission between the client and the web server, you certainly want to eliminate those 3 or 4 requests. So you can simply specify the expires to be some long future date. You may prevent master validate headers in the response header. You can avoid including e-tag and last modified to avoid conditional validation. However, as soon as you change the content on the web server, you want to make this change visible, I would say instantly or immediately. If you will cache the image for the 1 year, you will set the cache headers the way that there are no validation is made to the server. So the client cache actually wouldn't know when the change occurs. You have to somehow notify client browser cache there was a change, and it should update or refresh the content. So this is the problem which can be solved by generating resource URLs, so URLs for those resources that you want to make take advantage of full advantage of client browser cache. However, you won't still be able to notify the client cache that there was a change, and even though the headers specify that the cached item would be or should be valid for another half a year, you want to refresh the content in the client cache. So you can edit resources URLs in the special way. These can be, for example, the URLs you can see in there. So you are basically the important thing is the timestamp portion of the URL, because if you are able to generate or include the timestamp in the URL, with every change the timestamp portion change, which results in different link in the page source, and obviously different link which is not cached yet cause the client browser cache to obtain this fresh copy to replace the old one with the new content. So the old one stays in the cache for some time, and then most client browser caches will just remove it from the cache if it's not used for a certain amount of time. This approach with the timestamp in the URL is used by huge websites that definitely need to take advantage of client browser cache, but still needs to be able to reflect the changes in the user browsers instantly. So as soon as you are able to get those URLs, you will receive, or Kentico will receive requests for basically for the URLs it doesn't understand. So you need to rewrite it internally before Kentico takes control of processing. You need to rewrite it to the URL that is familiar to Kentico. So, for example, the get CSS URL you could rewrite to, or you would rewrite to CMS pages / get CSS ASPX and include the style sheet name in the query string parameter, which is the way we are doing that out of box. We are processing or returning the style sheets by default, and then it's just standard way to output the object. So this is the solution which I have implemented partially, so you can at least see how it works. And I'm going to work on this on full implementation details over the next couple of days or weeks, and I will submit this in a blog post on my blog, so we can then see all different types of content processed through this expiration mechanism if required. So for now, let's take a look what I've done so far for this webinar. First thing, if I go to the home page, so I go to the home page. Okay, so first thing I would like to show you is how it looks in the source code. In the header, I've done it for the style sheets for now. So you can see that the URL URL I'm generating is like /getCSS timestamp and corporate site dot CSS, so the style sheet name basically .css. If you are familiar with the way how the links looks standard way, it's like CMS pages /get css.aspx, and then in the query string style sheet name attribute and value which corresponds to the style sheet name. So you can see that all the style sheets are referred this way on the website. So when the request is being processed by Kentico CMS, it lands in the application, in the global ASX file, in the application authorized request, where I have basically included this condition. This is the original code. So I'm just checking whether the relative path is of my custom form. So if I take a look in here, I'm just checking whether there is get CSS portion in the URL. If it is, I'm just creating a new path, and I'm rewriting the path to point to this new to the original or the standard URL. So I'm rewriting or pre-rewriting the get CSS time step form to standard Kentico form. As soon as I do that, the Kentico will take care about the rest. What is important is to make Kentico to output those URLs in the page source code instead of the standard ones. So in case of style sheets, there is single place where I can control or when I can substitute all the standard links for the style sheets in the header with my custom ones, and that's in portal template ASPX. In the pre-render, I'm basically replacing all the occurrences of standard URLs using the regular expression with my custom link form. So that's the place where I do the replacement in order to get it included within the page source code, so any underlying requests will use my custom form. Then there was also slightly change in the get CSS ASPX page itself, so the script page that is basically serving the content, and that's basically just to include the include the expires header and include the last modified headers in the response, and in case that there is some compression format used for the response, include it in the content encoding as well. So if we take a look on the source code once again, you may notice this URL right now. If I go ahead and I change something in the style sheet now, so at least I believe it's, yeah. So as long as I'm staying with the same URL, the client browser cache will cache the resource for me. So no additional requests for the same resource occurs. That's actually what you can see from this log. First load with my custom expiration in place loads all the files. The next loads doesn't load any file because those style sheets are now cached in the client browser cache, and there is no need to reload them. So just to show you how it works, as you can see, there is link like this. Now if I go to the development, I will change some background color in here. I save the changes. I reload the home page. And as you can see, the timestamp portion of the URL changed, which will force the browser to load a new one. So that's the whole point of the custom expiration mechanism. Of course, for the meta files or attachments or any other files that goes to the another script pages, or like get meta file, get file, you will need to do the same to basically alter the way how the links are outputted in the page source, and alter the get file or get meta file or get whatever ASPX page, which is responsible for sending the output to the client. So there was 5.5. There was an improvements done in the Kentico CMS 6.0, not only in caching area, but it's nice to have more user-friendly user interface for managing caching. So let me start my 6.0 right here. Okay. So with 5.5 R2, you really didn't get option to influence what will be whether the master validate will be included in a control cache control header or not. You just specified the web config key and that was it. With the 6.0, you can notice slightly difference in the caching settings. Besides the server content caching changes, which are the same that you have right now with the 5.52, you've got the server file caching. That's again the same thing that is in here with 5.5 R2 as well. Just change the grouping. But there is a new client caching section in the website settings, which first of all allows you to specify the number of minutes that the content should be cached on the client side, and then it also allows you to specify whether the master validate should be included within the response headers. If I show you the log from 6.0, when the full client cache was enabled, sorry, it's not the right one, this one. You will see that only the first load done requests for the objects to the server, or all following requests, subsequent requests, just did request for the page itself. So this is the behavior you've got out of box. You don't need to implement the expiration mechanism in order to eliminate those additional 3 or 4 requests. However, if you want to get that expiration mechanism in place because you want to be able to force the client browser cache to flash the content whenever you make a change, you still need to implement the date timestamp part in the URL approach. So, but out of box, you don't need to set any additional information. You don't need to make any additional changes. Just using the settings in the site manager, you will be able to eliminate 3 or 4 so conditional validation round trips completely. Okay, and yeah, we are slowly getting to the end. There is one more thing I wanted to show you, is the full page cache dependencies web part. I'm pretty sure if you are Kentico partner for quite a time, you have probably tried to use the full page cache, and you have probably used the full page cache. However, I believe that you also came across a situation when you couldn't use full page cache because there was requirement to let the changes made to the website to be visible on the live site instantly after they occur, not only after the full page cache expires, which is caused by the default functionality of the full page cache when there is only a single default dependency created for the full page cache, and that's related to the page that has full page cache applied itself. So if you have a page that is displaying a list of articles from different location, and you apply full page cache on on the page that is displaying this list, if there is change made to this page, the full page cache will flash. However, if you make change to any of the underlying articles, the change won't be reflected on the lifetime unless or until the full page cache expires. If you are a fan of Martin Heitmanek's, our CTO's blog posts, you probably spotted that there was a blog post release that somehow covered the possibilities to include your custom cache dependencies for the full page cache. Basically, all you need to do is in web part, in template processing, whenever in whatever way you are able to insert the code in the event that at the latest is the on-pre-render event. So if you have a web part, you are able to modify its on-pre-render event. If you have a template, you are able to modify its on-pre-render event. So as long as you are able to include your custom code in the on-pre-render, you are able to add your custom cache dependencies, full page cache dependencies, and there is actually the way how you add those dependencies. So all you need to do is using the standard cache dependencies keys that you can find using this link. So for node and all child nodes, you would do for node and all underlying child nodes, you would do node pipe, side name pipe, alias path of the node, pipe, and child nodes. So you can find all those standard dependency cache keys in the developer's guide, and then you just pass this array of those keys to cache helper.addOutput cache dependencies method, which will take care about the rest for you. So I need to include here the link to the actual web part, because the web part is already on the marketplace. Our solution partner, as I mentioned at the beginning, the DNA services, submitted it to the marketplace, so you can download it. I will certainly include the link in the presentation. Just to give you an idea how it looks like, it's really no rocket science. You have two properties, which basically takes the paths that you want to make your full page cache dependent on, and then looping through the paths, you are created the cache dependency keys. In this case, the web artwork, the way that you place it on page template in the portal engine, you specify a couple of paths that should be connected to the full page cache item and should cause cache to be flashed when there isn't change made to the location specified by the path. So as you can see, nothing else, just generating those cache dependency arrays and then calling the add output cache dependencies add output cache dependencies method. The first one, the add default output cache dependencies method, will ensure that the default cache dependencies, so for the pages that have full page cache enabled, will be generated. So you will just ensure that those are present there as well. So you do not include only your custom ones. Okay, so this is, I do that again. This is all I have prepared for today. Now there is certainly time for your questions, or maybe your experience or problems, issues that you have encountered related to the client cache. You can submit it into questions box. I would be really interested in hearing from you whether you have basically came across needs to create your custom expiration mechanism, or whether you are satisfied with the way how the client cache works in Kentico 5.5 R2. We are still able to enhance the 6.0 caching if your requirement is not the major wouldn't have a major impact on the system. So please take your time and submit a question or suggestion to the question box. I will give you like a few minutes for submitting the questions. If you don't have any questions, could I at least ask you to let me know? You can submit it through the question box as well. Just let me know whether the information around the IIS-7 output cache was new for you, or whether you have heard about that before, whether you have play around with the Kentico output caching, full client caching before. Whether the information I presented today was somehow new for you, somehow valuable to you. Okay, from the feedback, it seems like some of you already knew, some not. So hopefully it was helpful to you. And as usual, you can download the recording of this webinar from the partners portal along with the presentation, where you can find the links to the resources that I used for preparing for this session. And as long as there are no questions, I would like to thank you for your time. and talk to you next month again about some topic that might be more or less related to Kentico CMS. You will receive the newsletter, a partner's newsletter with the invitation any day soon. So thank you for your time once again, and have a nice day. Bye.